Today on the bench I'm going to tie you the light Cahill Stimulator. You know, up at Untitled 2, those brook trout pretty well take anything. Big mouse patterns on top, big Atlantic salmon bomber patterns, and of course the Stimulator pattern I'm going to tie you today. Make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For the hook we use a size 10 3x long curved Nymph hook, some 8/0 light Cahill thread to tie with, light elk hair for the tail, some UV2 pale evening dun dubbing for the body, some ginger hackle for the rib, some light elk hair for the wing, and some ginger hackles for the head. To start the fly off, I've tied on my thread and moved it back down the hook shank a little bit, down the bend. I'm going to tie my tail about 1/2 inch long and keep it fairly short and wrap it in, and make sure you always go behind your tail a couple of times just to keep that hair from getting around the hook bend. Help it stand up. Next step to the pattern is take a hackle, and we want this hackle to be about the width of that hook shank, you know, the length of your hook shank. We're going to tie it in by the tip, very important, because we want it to get increasingly long as we wrap it over for the rib. So tie this in and then we'll tie in the body. Now take some dubbing, and I'm just going to very lightly, again, take some dubbing and just wrap it onto my thread. Form a nice thin body. And keep adding it on there as you go until you get a little bit of dubbing on your thread. Now that we have our dubbing on our thread, we're going to take it and wrap it forward, and I'm only going halfway up the hook. That's it. We don't want to go any more because we're going to leave lots of room for the hackles at the top. So wrap your dubbing about halfway up. Now the body's tied in, I'm going to take my hackle and I'm going to take about 3 to 4 wraps just to form a rib on the body. And tie it off halfway up the hook. I've taken a good clump of elk hair and actually put it in my hair stacker, and I like to stack it because I want all the ends even for the wing. Stack the hair, and now I'm going to extend it back so it's about the length of the tail. We're going to create the wing and just tie it in front, and it should be about half the distance of the hook still left to go, because we want the head of the fly with the hackles to be quite big. So wrap in your wing and let it flare out. And it should be about the length of the tail. Now we're going to form the head, and how we do that is I've taken 2 similar hackles about the same length and the same barb length, quite long. We're going to tie one in, and you know, a lot of times you can build up this head and put in 2, 3, even 4 hackles if you want to make it real bushy, but I prefer between 2 and 3. So I've wrapped one hackle in, and now I'm going to wrap it forward about half the way up, and then put the other hackle in and wrap it in to finish off the head. So I've tied in the first hackle, as you can see, and I've gone halfway up the distance I left for the head. And now I'll tie my second one, wrap it forward, and finish off the head. Now that the head's tied in, I'm going to take my whip finisher and just whip finish a nice light Cahill head on the fly. Pull off your thread, and I also like to put the head cement on this one because it is a dry fly. So I always put a little head cement on there. So there it is, the light Cahill Stimulator. As you can see, it works very well on these Untitled 2 brook trout and is a good universal attractor pattern. To watch all our latest Sport Fishing on the Fly episodes and to order Sport Fishing on the Fly merchandise, head to www.sfotf.ca, and if you would like to book an adventure like this one shown, head to ontheflyadventures.ca and book yourself the trip of a lifetime.